Hello, my name is Garrick, and welcome to my watch party for today. I don't know what I'm featuring, but I'm going to do something, especially during the
And a
shut-in.
that's and a that's and a that's all, folks. And wait until the next time. It might be soon and very soon.
And we'll be live momentarily. All right, Garrick, we are live. How about that?
Hey, how about that? How you
Hey,
doing?
yeah, I just got to make sure that you got a good frame here. Somehow, my this I want people to get a nice clean shot of you here. So,
How about that?
so tell me, Garrick, when did you first write that tune called Bebop?
Bebop, ba, 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 ba. We was in Dorsey High, and we had a special jazz group. I forgot what it was. Donald Simpson was the teacher, and we had some heavyweights: Larry Farrell, Gail Boss, and Michael Stanton. We were all the piano players, and a little guy. Man, he could only play with three fingers, but we all wrote a tune back in 1967 or 68 at Dorsey. And I loved jazz back in the day. And I just had that feeling, and I just wrote that tune and memorized it. And I went further and memorized everybody's tune back then because were musicians.
Well,
So that's how bebop started.
I remember that you and I, we were at the Prentice Building, right next to Mount Zion at 50th and Hooper, and
Yes, sir. Right.
you taught me that tune, and we played it, and I was recording on a little mini disc, and I always loved the tune. I was just learning it as we went on, but it sounded
Yeah.
good. So then later on, when we started to have those Tucson eclectic jams over
Yeah.
at Solar Culture, the second half of 2019,
Yeah.
I started calling that tune every night, and we always enjoyed playing it. So finally, I found out Malik was recording in 24-bit using
Uh huh.
A Zoom H1 recorder. It's a tiny little
Yeah.
thing like the size of a pencil. And
Mm-hmm.
but the sound was good, so I went ahead and released that on TuneCore, which means it's for sale right now at Apple Music and the iTunes Store,
Right.
Apple
Right.
Music
Right.
Store. You can get it on Amazon Music. And heck,
Uh
when I
huh.
did a Google search, I searched Google for Glenn Gross Quartet space bebop. It came
Uh
up. It
huh.
was for sale in China,
Whoa.
and there was your picture with Malik because I put you.
Now let that go viral. Forget all that Corona crap. Just kill that virus and send mine.
So
Let
I
that
put
go
you. I
viral.
put a picture of you and Malik on the cover, and you guys are
Okay.
sitting there smiling at each other,
Right.
and there you are on a Chinese website. It's all Chinese characters. I was saying, I hope Trump doesn't put a tariff on this, or else we might not get any money from this sale.
Well, I'll do what they do. Put a glut out there, and we'll wait till it go down by ourselves. How
Yeah,
about that?
yeah. So anyway, I'm excited about that, and then we also released the other tune the one that I wrote when I was in New York on Bob Mover's piano, hanging out at his apartment,
Yeah. I
overlooking
remember.
the Hudson River, and it's called Khashoggi's Quest. And
Right.
it was written to remember the late Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, who was
Mm-hmm.
murdered when he went to the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, I believe.
Yeah.
And he just all he
Right.
wanted to do was get a marriage license to marry his
Uh
wife,
huh.
and then they cut him into little pieces, and it's a terrible story.
Right.
So I thought, well, he was just ahead of his time. So I called it Khashoggi's Quest. It's supposed to be about the vision that he had for a more open world.
We're going over there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
I think he wanted everybody to be invited to the party, not just
Mm-hmm.
not just certain nationalities.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I like the way that sounds, and it's available on iTunes. All you got to do is search for Glenn Gross Quartet. But I was joking with you earlier, Garrick. I said that I heard you were behind the slogan "Liberate Arizona."
Oh yeah. Yeah. I didn't personally put it out there, but 'cause I went a little further. I liberated myself, so I
So look
didn't
up,
want to infringe on anybody's opinion.
President Trump tweeted, 3 times, liberate all these states where these people are staging these protests because
Right.
the governors are taking Trump's advice. What do you make of all that situation?
Well, I thought about it today because, I listen to all sides. And it's kind of different for me now because this shutdown, it's like before I was shut down in the first place. So I'm kind of prepared for it. And my rib was talking this stuff 5 years ago. That's when we met. So it's like, I don't know, when some people have this ability to predict and not act on it, but this is the time to start preparing yourselves.
But wouldn't you say
And
a good preparation is to wear a mask and avoid,
of course,
in other words, we don't want people to just head back to normal and then they all get sick and die, even though,
right,
it might, well, I'm not going to say that. But to me, it seems kind of crazy for the president to be supporting these demonstrations against the governors. He's supposed to back the governors. He's not supposed to back people that are
right,
protesting against the government. That's like the president falling down on his job. It's someone else said it's sedition. It's almost treasonous. I don't know how you feel about that, but it bothers me that the president doesn't stick behind these governors that are doing a good job just protecting the lives of the people.
okay. I noticed they used the word on his, he makes a speech every day, but I was listening when he came on, and then he gives it to the other people. But what I noticed is like, let the governors decide, and then the governors got to deal with the mayors, and it goes to the drop down principle. You feel me on that?
Yeah, it's
So now, even in Arizona, where we're at, the mayor of Phoenix, she's not having all that. She want to fire the governor, and then the governor want to. It's weird how everybody's on the drop down.
Yeah,
Because
I always like the fact that our government, the federal government's not too heavy-handed most of the time, but I don't like the idea that the federal government just abdicates all the leadership to do things like make sure everybody has enough tests, make sure people have enough PPE, personal protective equipment, and because actually those tests it needs to be coordinated. We don't want all 50 states bidding against each other when people's lives are at stake. And to me,
exactly.
it's like Trump is like pitting all the states against each other, like a father with a big family who tells one of the children, "Why can't you be like your brother?" It's a little bit like
What's
that.
interesting? What's interesting? This is election season,
Right.
and it's also the 2020 when they take the census, and everything falls on this date, and it just happens to have a pandemic.
Yep. Isn't
You
that
know,
something? That's a trip.
makes you want to think. Because I decided today that you don't want to be stupid. Period.
Right.
Nobody's gonna. Stupidity is not illegal, so now they can't make it a law. It's just people decide to do it. Because if I wanted to go to work, we're making up a platform now. If we can't play in a club, we're gonna play to the audience
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you can make your own
Yeah.
club.
I think you're with me, Gary, when I say that I think our job as musicians ought to be creating value for the people, whether or not
Yeah,
we can be in the same room. If we can't be in the same room, that doesn't mean we can't still have concerts, which is why I created a Facebook group called Quarantine Records.
right.
Quarantine Records is a little bit like a joke because, you can imagine like somebody could say, well, what happened to the president's taxes? Where are all those records? And somebody else could say, well, their records are quarantined. But
Hey,
this is a different
your
story.
stimulus check is quarantined.
Right.
You
This
think
is a
about
different
it.
story here. The quarantine records are vinyl records that people,
Right.
in other words,
Oh, the collector's item. Yeah,
somebody like you, Gary, you're stuck at home and you decide,
yeah,
hey, I feel like playing some music. Let me share it with the people. So you go live. And then what I do is I see that
yeah.
live stream and I share that over to the Quarantine Records group. And then if somebody wants to
Right.
discover it tomorrow, they can watch it for the first time tomorrow. They can say, oh, there's Gary Burnett. He was giving a
Yeah.
concert. Why not? Because we got a musical gift. All we need to do is let the internet amplify that gift so we can get the music out to
Of
the
course.
people. By the way, you got a
Yeah.
piano back there. I think I see a piano in the background.
Yeah, there's a keyboard. There's a whole look. I try back here.
Hey, you want to play
That's the
something?
beauty.
Want to play something? See how it
You
sounds?
know, I tell you what, because I gotta take stuff off, and you know I'm blind, crippled, and
Oh yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
so
Blind. You
I
said
have to
blind.
do it and stuff.
By the way, Garrett,
But yeah,
can you hear better
yeah,
because you're blind? I was having a talk with Bob Mover. He was telling
yeah.
me that people like Lenny Tristano and Stevie Wonder and the other famous blind piano player, I forget his name, George Shearing.
You gotta get
He was saying that
George
those
Strait.
guys, George Shearing, he was saying,
Yeah.
Bob Mover told me that George Shearing and Stevie Wonder and Lenny Tristano could hear better than the rest of us because they were blind. What do you think of
Yeah, you
that?
hear another. I can tell you my experience.
Yeah, please.
What I can't see, I can feel and hear because we have five senses, you know.
Right.
And I told you all the time, there's some things I don't need to see, and I'm glad I can feel them more so than I can see them.
Exactly.
I can feel your spirit, and when I play music, you notice I don't really look at charts and go through all them theories and this and I listen to it, and by the time I listen to what you're doing, I feel you.
Well, your head will
Now
be
you remember when we was at Mount Zion?
right.
When we used, you just pick up a trumpet and I'll start playing, and next thing you know, 2 hours go by.
Right.
We ain't said a word. Now I can't shut you down now to that you up here now, but the trip is that's where it's at when you can feel. Me and you work with Kevin at the church,
Yeah, Kevin
and
Hamilton.
you always want me to do it this way and that way, so I can't do it his way. If I gotta sit there and listen, oh, I'm gonna do it your way now because I hear it.
Right.
And everybody get pissed when I run across to do something, but it's all right.
You
I
know,
feel you.
Bob Mover told me that he tried to be blind for a day. I guess he blindfolded
Yeah.
himself, and he tried to figure out.
Oh, that reminds me. You remember when I played on the keyboard? You said take the thing. No, because you can play blind on your trumpet. I do the same on my keyboard.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So anyway, I was thinking it might be fun for us to play a tune, but maybe it's better we postpone that and do that in our next conversation.
Let's do that because I got stuff like wires and cords because we were trying to hook this
All
thing
right,
up.
no
And
problem.
now that we cleared it, I'm going to have the big speaker. I can play for the neighborhood.
All right. So I just like to do a couple shameless plugs first. My band is the Glenn Gross Quartet, and my piano player is right here. His name is Garrick Burnett. Right, Garrick?
Hey, y'all.
Yeah. And he wrote a tune called Bebop, which we just released this week. It's on iTunes. It's on Amazon Music. You can get it at glenngrossquartet.bandcamp.com. And I'd just like to say, in a kind of a shameless plug, that if you buy our music, you're helping us to continue. And that makes a big difference to us when we can't go out and do a gig. Normally, most of my money comes from doing live concerts. So I was scheduled to do a concert with Sierra Vista Symphony where I play third trumpet, and that was canceled. And I was scheduled to do quite a few concerts with the Tucson Pops Orchestra coming up. Those are canceled. So that's over $1,000 in lost revenue for me right there. So one of the things I'm hoping I can do is make up for some of it by selling a few digital products. I also want to let you know about some upcoming events. World famous saxophonist Bob Mover is going to be talking about the album he did with the wonderful sax player who just passed away, Lee Konitz. Lee Konitz. Yeah. And Bob was friends with Lee Konitz for 50 years, so he's got a lot to say. Well, we're going to be doing this live, and I haven't got the exact time, but the date is going to be May the 2nd. I think we said we're going to do it at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which is going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I think we're going to charge $10 for anybody that wants to sign in. We're going to probably use Zoom to do it, but if we don't use Zoom, we might use Google Meetup. So I'm figuring out how to do it right now, but watch for that because that's upcoming. And Bob also has a number of other seminars that he's going to be doing on how to improvise. I've been working with him on his upcoming book on improvisation, which is going to be a real blockbuster when it comes out. I got to tell you, he's got a lot of wonderful ideas that you just don't read in most of the jazz press. And Bob's students know that he's an iconoclastic teacher. There's really nobody else that teaches like him. So I think it's going to be a real treat for anybody that wants to tune in. And once again, that's going to be Saturday, May 2nd at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah. On Garrick's birthday, we're going to do that. Now, also, I want to spill the beans about another thing that's exciting that's coming up. We're working with Quavy and Diaspora Showcase, And my group, the Glen Gross Quartet, is going to be appearing September 4th and 5th in Phoenix, doing original arrangements of the music of Miriam Makeba. And I'm excited to be involved with that beautiful music. And we're also going to be backing up Michelle Coltrane. And you're going to be doing that too, Garrick. Garrick, you're going to be backing up Michelle Coltrane.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah, I remember.
All right. So anyway, it's just a couple things coming up. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And please watch this.
Thank you, guys.
Please watch this space. You've been listening to a talk show from Latte Brothers International, founded by Mr. Garrick Burnett, who's my guest on this show right now. And my name's Glen Gross. I also have the site Music for World Peace. That's what my shirt says. Music for World Peace, because we need it so badly right now, don't we, Garrick?
Yeah. I should have worn my Music for World Peace shirt.
Well, we'll have to do that later.
Next time.
All right, so on that note, let me wish everyone the best. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And bye for now.
Guys. We love you guys.
We love you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.